word is really annoying around this time of year. It just irks the shit. And when people say spooktacular, I just want to slap them in the face.
Who the fuck has ever said that word? I've never heard that word in my entire life.
Never heard spooktacular? Get out.
Spooktacular.
God, around like, especially like kids channels, like Halloween marathons, catch the spooktacular. It's just irritating. I hate it. It needs to
Okay,
stop.
alright, no, you're right. Kids channels. Why do you hate?
God knows that's like all I get to watch are kids shows, and I know you're on board with that way of life. So.
What about Count Chocula? That is.
What about him?
That's spooktacular. Booberry is spooktacular. That's also where I heard that word.
Yeah.
I don't hate on Count Chocula. What kind of monster are you where you don't like Booberry?
I like the actual cereal. I just don't like the word.
How do you live with yourself? Not able to read the box.
I don't. I just eat it.
Welcome,
I just play the games.
everybody, to episode 15, 16 of the
2
Hard to Name
weeks.
podcast.
2 weeks, Adam. We're back.
Weeks. Travis has died. And then came back to life.
I've had a shit 2 weeks. I've been really sick, but I'm back. Thank God it's over.
I was also sick, but I went to Africa to help people that were sicker than me because that's how I roll.
Did you go down with Bono?
Yep.
Man, I missed it again. I always have to end up going with Sting because I never get to go with you and Bono. It's bullshit.
I would never go anywhere with that guy.
He makes you pay for everything. Like, he's all slick about it, too. Like, God.
I'm Sting. With his sunglasses.
As Adam said, we're back. 2 week hiatus, guys. It's our spooktacular.
This is our spooktacular episode. Actually, this is not our spooktacular episode. And maybe I should have told you this before, but one thing I had to leave off of tonight's itinerary, just because it's such a packed episode. I think we should do a special ghost story, hard to name podcast bonus episode, just to make it up to everybody, where we could tell a couple ghost stories. But that'll be a completely separate podcast from this one. What do you think? And then we can upload that one on Halloween or the day before.
I can dig, but it'll just be me listening to you intently because I have no ghost stories.
I've got a really good ghost story. So
sweet.
Go to a haunted house somewhere in the next couple days.
I'll set aside time.
Or use a Ouija board. Or just like say Bloody Mary in the mirror a bunch of times and see what happens.
Or just watch Candyman.
Just watch Candyman. I'm okay with that. Then we'll just discuss Candyman. Okay, so it's a big week. You were gone on like probably the most important 2 weeks that we had.
I fucked everything up, Adam. We've been building it up for show after show, waiting on Nintendo to do something.
And Nintendo did something.
Well, they sure did.
They sure did.
So,
before we get into any of that, though, we've got a special guest tonight. Maybe, if he answers.
We'll see.
Logan Mears.
No, it's not Logan Mears.
Oh, it's not Logan Mears. Okay, good deal.
It is our friend Tannen, getting him back on the show. Not going to spontaneously call him at midnight this time. We're going to do it official. So, see if we can get him on the line. When we come back at the Hard to Name podcast, we have so much shit to talk about. We're backed up like hell.
We've got the Nintendo Switch, the Red Dead trailer. I've been playing a lot of BioShock. I want to talk about that. The Outlast 2 demo, which we played last week. I streamed, you watched. Good times. So, we will be right back after this message from Travis.
We'll be right back, and the lady is on the ticket.
Lady's on the ticket.
Hey guys, Mike here from the Slam Pigs Podcast, reminding you, as always, check us out on Twitter, @Slam Pigs Podcast. Check us out on Facebook, The Slam Pigs Podcast. Or, as always, check us out on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button. Hibiki TMD is where it's at. Until we meet again, oink oink.
And we're back. And now
we're back.
We have Tannen on the line.
Look at that, off the bat, everyone's stepping on each other's toes in succession. I love it. Tannen, welcome officially to the Hard to Name podcast. Not randomly calling you at midnight. Glad you're feeling better. Thanks for doing it, man.
You also got Travis sick last time. I just want to let you know that.
Yeah, you got all of us sick, by the way. And
everybody got sick because of that.
Well, you know, it's just what it is. What it is.
It's the circle of life.
Yeah, it's the circle of colds.
I'll accept that. Okay, so there's a ton of things we have to get into tonight.
I couldn't think of a better episode to have Tannen on for. So
yes, this is good because I feel like there's not really any surprise curveballs at anything that we need to talk about. I think we're all pretty well versed in everything. So I guess we ought to just start with the big one. The NX is no longer the NX. It is now
get that
the Switch.
Shit out of here. That is not the
shit out of here. I kind of like the NX. I think that would have been a fine name by itself. It's always weird for me when they change things like Project Morpheus and then they're like, psych, it's just PS4. Man, but Project Morpheus was a lot cooler. Project Neo, it's like, no, it's just PlayStation Pro. That's it.
Remember they had Dolphin there for a while too.
Yeah, there was Dolphin.
The GameCube, the Revolution.
The Revolution, yeah. So, I mean, that's fucking stupid. Why bother doing a code name for things if you're just like a PlayStation 4? Yeah, it's pretty obvious that that's the direction that you're gonna go. Why bother giving that a code name at all? You're not fooling anybody. So.
Well, who's to say they have this secret name planned all along anyway? I mean, they could just be scrambling at the last second. I mean, look how basic of a name Switch was. You know what I mean?
And it makes sense. I mean, now that we've actually seen it in action, it's ironic just how crazy all the rumors have been and how true all the rumors have been. There was not really hardly any surprises in any of this. Detachable controllers. The only real shock to me was how sleek it looks. It looks way sleeker. I was expecting
like
cords and shit.
Yeah, it looks like a dog's head, like with the dog ears.
Okay, that's a weird way to look at it, but I can see that.
What does that say about me as a person? I don't know.
That's probably that you hate dogs.
Actually, I love dogs. But...
Well, that's what you've been telling yourself your entire life, but apparently, according to that last statement, you don't. So.
It's like have you seen the new AVGN video, like the whole Berenstein Bears spelling controversy? It's like that. How we thought it was spelled a certain way when we were kids, but now it's spelled stain the whole time.
You know, there's a big conspiracy theory about misinterpreting memories about the Berenstein Bears.
Yep.
So, suck it, Berenstein Bears. That's what I'm talking about. We came here to talk about Nintendo, not Berenstein Bears.
Which was on the Game Boy Color.
I'm here to be at the Nintendo party.
Yeah, I was about to say, wasn't there a really, really terrible Bernstein Bears game, actually?
Yeah, like a Extreme Sports game.
I'm fairly certain everybody is clear on the pronunciation of bear. The bear part is the one part of that that's staying the same.
Yeah.
Bar.
But yeah, the NX is gone. It's now the Switch guys. Man, first of all, those controllers are teeny tiny. I'm afraid my kids are going to lose them like 5 minutes out of the box.
I feel like that is a very real possibility. It will be strange to see if these things are sold separately, especially after the debacle with like the Wii U tablet and how fucking ridiculous it is to get a hold of a replacement one if you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
For a console where 50% of its gimmick is that you can take it anywhere, I don't want to take it anywhere because I'm afraid I'm going to lose that shit.
Yeah. It looks a little bit more sturdy in some ways. I think the screen looks obviously 100 times nicer than the Wii U tablet screen.
True. Definitely agree. Let's talk about, first of all, the trailer, how they marketed this. Totally uncharacteristically of Nintendo. There's no elderly people at a retirement home. There's no kids playing. This is all like hipsters
Japanese
on the
people?
rooftop playing basketball, taking a soda break.
It is all fucking hipsters. The entire thing is hipsters. God damn you, Nintendo. Where's our old people? Apparently they don't want old people to play this. I think, honestly, all jokes aside, this is probably done obviously on purpose to show, like, hey, this is not a console we want your grandparents to play.
Right.
Like, we're trying to get back into the core gamers. This is a game for everybody. I think that's why they showed Skyrim so much instead of... You could have easily filled all of those screens with Breath of the Wild stuff, and instead they picked Skyrim.
Dude, they have a lot of support initially coming out of the gate. On paper, it says. We'll
Yes.
see how long it lasts. But
Well, one of the funny things is Bethesda has not been able to confirm that Skyrim is coming out for the Switch. And I looked into that a little bit further because obviously it's super weird because that was 90% of the games that were played on the thing in the announcement. But apparently no company is allowed to announce games before Nintendo is. So I guess mum is the word on all of those companies. But I do expect we'll see a lot more third-party support, which is basically what has hurt Nintendo ever since the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
The decision
for Nintendo to throw down the iron fist. I'm just so blown away by that.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think, Tannen?
Well, as far as the third-party stuff, they had to do something. I mean, look at the third-party support that came to the Wii U this last round that we had. There really wasn't too much. We had, I mean, I can look at my Wii U collection and Lego. There's a ton of Lego games.
You had Batman.
The Batman or Lego games are everywhere. It is odd that.
You also had you did have the Arkham series hitting the Wii U. I do have Origins for that. I did enjoy Origins on it, but one thing that you had to do actually to get the game to function correctly was take off the auto camera. That was just something really weird. The game I noticed was really buggy until I turned off the auto centering on the camera, and it's like, oh crap, that actually really worked. And then the game stopped being buggy. But yeah, as far as the third-party support went on the Wii U, you didn't really have like the huge titles kind of coming down. You had the previous gen hitting the Wii U. I think that with the Switch, we're finally going to get enough power that even with third parties coming in, they might actually create more Nintendo exclusives given the materials that they're handed, especially with it being strictly cartridge. Because let's face it, cartridge is going to be I think disc is kind of going back out of style and cartridge is coming back in because of, quicker load times. You can fit a lot more crap on there. And it's just really the smarter way to do it. I mean, if we can fit a whole terabyte into one little SD card, think about what kind of game you can slam onto that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot more durable, too. You can take a 3DS game and kick it across the room. Like, literally just kick it across the room. And it would totally work. Whereas I feel like if you took a Blu-ray and did that, it would be scratched to hell and back.
Oh, yeah, they're more playable. Another thing there that I like about the fact that we're going back to cartridge is there seems to be more control than to the owner. We had this huge debacle going on when PS4 and Xbox One came out. They were going to try to make it more strict with people sharing and borrowing games and things like that. And of course, like the community was outraged. But when you have cartridge, everybody's going to have that hard copy. Everybody can trade their copies amongst themselves. You can't lock up a cartridge and say, oh, the person that bought that strictly belongs to them. It's going to recreate that freedom that was at one point by developers almost threatened to be taken away.
Well, that's where digital downloads stand as well. Even when you purchase a game digitally, you are purchasing the licensing for that game. You do not actually own that game. Whereas, to some extent, the same could be said with the DVD, or even a Nintendo cartridge. If you really press the copyright laws hard enough, if I bought a movie over to your house, and then we charged people to come over and watch the movie at your house, we could both go to jail for a long time because we don't own that movie.
FBI warning right at the beginning.
Yep, FBI warning. If you want to get fined $5,000 or whatever the fucking $250,000, whatever the price tag is, and spend 5 years in jail.
I was going to say, like, essentially every physical property that you own isn't yours. You know what I mean? The creator at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yep. But yeah, the same. The trick is with the digital stuff. I think if you're buying physical media still, you're probably in the clear. But digital media can be revoked at any time. There's just a lot of stuff. Plus, the stuff on the store, digital stores, is licensed, and the license timers can run out on that kind of stuff. And
also, let's all be honest, guys. We're all like purists, I would like to think, as far as gaming. I mean, yeah, it's convenient, but for gaming to go the way digital, I'm not really psyched about that. I'm not happy about that. I like to have something physical. I like that feeling still, to put on a shelf, to show off. It's just that comfort of making it feel more like mine, and it just can't be taken, and I totally agree.
I enjoy letting people borrow stuff. So when I download something digitally, I know that, like, okay, well, fucking everybody else is out of luck. Whereas if I buy a game hard copy, I can let my brother just play it, or just give it to them for their birthday, and it'll save me from having to go to the store.
Now, I haven't seen the actual specs for the Switch or anything, but I'm hearing it's pretty powerful. Nintendo's claiming it.
It's not going to be as powerful as the PS4 or the Scorpio, which is
I've
going to
heard-
be even more powerful than the PS4.
Yeah, I heard different.
I heard totally different.
Up par with the PS4 at least.
If
Yes.
it's on par with the PS4, it's still a generation behind, which is fine. I think Nintendo should be wise enough to realize that they should not try to compete in power. They'll never win.
No, they have to gain trust back, is where they're at, basically.
No,
But-
what Nintendo does is they make things fun. They take a gimmick, they either make it work or they don't make it work, but they swing for the fences. And right now, Sony and Microsoft are doing the exact same thing. More power, better graphics, 4K, 60 FPS. It's just, they're so far in front of Nintendo that it's a race that Nintendo will never ever catch them. So there's no
Also-
point in trying to catch them in power. What they need to do is focus on innovative games, innovative control schemes, innovative, like, take your tablet anywhere you want to go kind of business. That's where Nintendo is its own thing. It doesn't really need to compete with the other two. So if they get into that race where they're just like chasing Sony and Microsoft, it's not going to end well. And hopefully they've figured that out by now. Because if you looked at the Wii graphics were not nearly as good. Once the PS3 and the 360 were out doing their thing, the Wii was just left in the dust graphically. However, it still had a ton of fun games on it. And it's just because they did their homework. And they realized, hey, let's not try to compete on graphics. Let's do something like Mario Galaxy and change the way that platformers are made.
Well, meanwhile, Tannen's building a house, apparently.
I'm going to fucking blow your house down.
I had to run outside for a second. It's
Oh.
okay.
Houses don't build themselves. We understand.
I think the last time Nintendo graphically was on par with the other competitors was like GameCube, I would say.
Ironically, I'd say GameCube games held up. GameCube and Dreamcast games held up better than anything Microsoft or Sony did at the time. Like
Totally.
Yeah.
Not saying that there weren't great games from those consoles in the early 2000s, but same thing with the Nintendo 64. I think Nintendo 64 graphics hold up so much better than PlayStation 1's. Like, hands down. But there was a shift. There was a shift over time once they started chasing power. And then, if what Microsoft says is true, their next thing is just going to completely rework the power struggle, and Sony's going to be really struggling to catch up. So Nintendo is like, years behind that. So let's just hope that Nintendo realizes that that's not a race that they need to be in, and just focus on making good stuff, innovative stuff.
What do you guys think coming out of seeing the trailer? Around the table, real quick. Coming out of this, are you guys going to get a Switch in the long run?
Absolutely. I was stoked for this thing before it happened, and then every single rumor that I heard about it was true, and that just makes me even more excited. Plus Skyrim. I mean, come on, Skyrim. It's fucking awesome. So
Yeah.
And there's a little tidbit of a brand new Mario game as well that they kind of pseudo announced.
And call me crazy, I think we got a sneak peek at Splatoon 2 also.
I'm not familiar enough with Splatoon, so I wasn't sure if that was just the first game. But that would be exciting, because apparently Splatoon was like the big sleeper hit for the Wii U.
Yes, that was their breakout IP,
Yeah.
Insanely popular.
I don't
And
think
it's a
anybody
great
was
game.
expecting that to be as popular as it was.
I was really excited for it just because of the ink gimmick, and I was excited to play it, but I never expected it to blow up like it did. But, yeah.
If I do have any concerns about this thing, it's going to be battery life. Battery life on the tablet. You get into this fine line of, okay, we got to keep it small, but we've also got to keep it on, and we got to keep the color scheme good, but we've also got to keep it on. And there's a lot of give and take. And the size of the screen on that, it's obviously much bigger than a 3DS or a Vita. I got a feeling that's going to be drawing a lot of power. So, I don't know. It'd be nice if that thing got 6 or 8 hours, but I would be kind of surprised if it did without needing to be plugged in.
I think the Wii U got like 4 hours uncharged.
That probably does. Yeah, that sounds about right. But it would be nice. Like the Wii U is obviously meant to stay in your living room. You cannot take that thing anywhere else.
Right.
Go outside with your Wii U tablet and watch.
God forbid you have
work.
to take a shit.
Yep. Lily, for like the first 3 days, kept trying to bring it downstairs to watch Netflix, and I was like, it's not going to work.
Arrival to the Wii U. I got it last Christmas, and one thing that I was like, got to take a crap. And, Karen and I were playing Mario Kart, and I was like, I'm going to go back to the bathroom and use this. First day I had it, that was like the first thing I wanted to do. I couldn't wait to have the food. And our bathroom is not that far from where the Wii U was, and I get back to the toilet, and I lost and I was like, you're kidding me. Like, I have to shit with the bathroom door open and like lean far to the right, and I just can't do this. It's not going to happen.
It is weird that they built it that way. I feel like the Wii U was kind of a prototype for what they're doing now, and they just needed to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the Switch is what the fucking Wii U should have been in the first place.
Yeah, it should have been in the first place. But, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited. That's my final thoughts on the matter. I'm super stoked. I hope they announce some other shit. I'd love to see some brand new Nintendo stuff, but I'd also really love to see some third-party stuff. But what's basically I think the biggest challenge is going to be with the third parties is right now, if you're a third party and you make a game like Call of Duty, it's going to be more or less, you can sell that game for PS4 and for Xbox One. And that game's going to be pretty close because of that power race. If you also try to sell it on a less powerful system, you're going to be dumbing it down, which is, I think, what scared a lot of people away after the Wii U's initial success. I mean, that thing sold, like 80 or 100 million units worldwide, something absolutely bonkers like that. And then, if you wanted to play Call of Duty, you were playing a far less inferior game. So that's going to be the biggest thing. We need people to make the games for the system specifically, rather than try to make ports that stretch across all three consoles.
Exactly. And we also need, on this console, Nintendo, every original popular IP to make an appearance. We need a good Metroid game. We need it all.
That's part of me is wondering if that's not what they waited so long to announce this for. They wanted to make sure that they had because the release launch window for March has been in effect for the last year, but the actual announcement of like what the hardware and the specs and shit were going to look like, and I would be shocked if it didn't have something to do with like making sure, hey, when are these first party games going to release? I don't think you need to do them all at once. I think that would actually be kind of stupid. I think you should launch with Zelda or Mario.
Right.
And then whichever one you launch with, release the other one a couple months later, the beginning of fall. And then fourth quarter, hit them hard with something that people don't expect, like Animal Crossing. Or like a Pokemon game or something. And everybody will lose their shit.
Oh, especially Pokemon. I don't know also in the
Pokemon.
trailer if that Mario Kart was a glimpse at a new Mario Kart or not.
No, that looked like Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, it was so fast I couldn't really tell.
So,
going back to what you just said, actually, Adam, if they launched with, you remember when Twilight Princess came out, and that was around the same time the Wii came out, and they still had Twilight Princess on the Wii, and that actually helped sell the Wii.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why Breath of the Wild got pushed back. That was supposed to come out early this year, and they were like, well, we're going to push the release back an entire year because we want it to be playable on the next
Breath
system.
of the Wild has been done, wrapped up in the bag, good to go for a while now.
Yeah.
It's just been waiting.
We want to give you the absolute awesome version on our new system. You can play it on Wii U.
Yeah. And I think that it's going to, like you said, it's going to exactly the same way.
And
the
in a
Twilight
weird
Princess
way,
was.
you would think that wouldn't work, but it's always paid off for Nintendo when they do that kind of shit.
Nintendo does all kinds of crazy shit that they can get away with that other companies, I think, would have a really hard time getting away with.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
their remarketing. I mean, we were going back to one of the things I loved about the Wii U was like I downloaded a lot of games, classic games because I have every console. But one thing that sucks is playing them on an HD TV. I still have to go back to my little I have like a 24-inch old analog TV that I'll play my console games on. But it is nice to have that living room access where I can just turn on my Wii U. And, I can play A Link to the Past.
You can get a
without having
Frame
to
Meister, though.
re-rig anything.
Just get a Frame Meister for your HD TV. I don't know how much they go for. They're not cheap. I know that.
Yeah, I just, I liked the access that I
But yeah,
had. And
the accessibility, totally.
I'm one of those people, too. If I'm going to play console, I like to play it on an old TV. I just like the feel of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just sentimental that way. But, it was nice to have that access all of a sudden, to a Super Nintendo library and things like that. That was one thing that I loved about the Wii U was just, having, I knew the Wii had that, but, I don't know, there was just something better about it on the Wii U whenever I went back. But that's another thing, too, it wasn't like a cross-buy. Like, I had to re-buy games.
Right.
I had to buy Contra 3
Yeah.
Alien Wars.
And that's,
No.
yeah, you bring up an interesting point. I actually feel almost completely opposite of you. Not because I don't think the Virtual Console is not a good thing, but I did all of that on the Wii. So when the Wii U came around, I was like, I'm not buying all this again. I've got the Wii. The Wii is still hooked up. I don't need to do any of this.
Yeah, after a while, you start to feel like you're getting milked.
And then what I think is where you're happy for the accessibility, where I'm disappointed is the lack of Nintendo 64 stuff or even Wii games. They do have some Wii games on there, but the Nintendo 64 library for the Virtual Console is appallingly small.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is Shadows of the Empire? Why won't anybody ever re-release Shadows of the Empire?
Oh, yeah.
Or Episode 1 Racer, or Rogue Squadron, or any of that shit.
That was great on the Wii U, I felt. Yeah, they really carried a lot over there. And the thing about the Advance was, whenever I had mine, I didn't really have that many games at the time of that console. I only had a handful of them. All of a sudden, I had access to, Kirby. And,
They are, but at the same time, they're charging $8 fucking for GBA games.
Yeah, but if you've never played Minish
And
Cap,
$10 for Earthbound.
yeah, but at the same time, if you've never, if you don't like that, go out on the street, buy Earthbound for $400 or however much it's going for right now.
Or just head on over to Emu Paradise and download it for free and play it on your computer.
Shout out to Emu Paradise. That place is fantastic. I love that place.
It's pretty, people say that. I play it with the fucking controller and everything. It's pretty goddamn close. The emulation has come down to a T. People have got that shit down. It's pretty goddamn accurate, I gotta say. For the most part.
But there's also, I don't know, so the Virtual Console, it would be nice to see a much larger library right at the launch of the system. And maybe even with GameCube games. I haven't seen any of those yet. They're emulating Wii games, but they're not emulating GameCube games for some reason. And I'm sure there's probably some technical.
on the Wii U, and that was a huge disappointment because, once again, there were a lot of games even on GameCube that I never had really played, and I still had to go back and, once again, play on my old TV, and that's how I played through Luigi's Mansion, actually, finally, and Super Mario Sunshine. Yeah, finally beat that game just like that, but there was this big part of me that really wished that those GameCube games would have been available on there. I would have been just absolutely ecstatic about that.
Well, there you have it. So that is that. I'm done talking about Nintendo.
Guys.
Suck it, Nintendo. We're moving on from you. Gary sucks because he likes Nintendo. That's where I'm at with this at this point. So Gary too can suck it. No, Next
This
up
week's-
on
This
the
week's Gary Sucks segment for me. Gary sucks because he never beat Chrono Cross and he played it all the time.
God
He
damn, he did play that. I was with him when he got that game. He played that game all the fucking time. I can't believe he didn't beat it.
I know
Gary
he never
does
did.
suck because he will tell you it's not about the ending, it's about the journey. And you know
Oh.
what? If you were listening to this and you say that, take a fucking hard look at yourself in the mirror because you're a fucking idiot. You're
Lando Calrissian would never say that.
Lando
ever.
would not. You know what he would say? Hello. What do we have here?
Worse all the time.
What do we have here? Donnie Glover.
He's not Danny Glover. Danny Glover is Lando Calrissian.
No, the guy playing Lando in the new movie, his name's Donnie Glover.
I thought you said Danny Glover. Yeah, that's fine.
Glover is the guy playing Lando, young Lando.
Yep.
The Han.
I had to do a double take. I'm like, Danny Glover. Like, oh man, it looks good though. I mean, whatever.
You know what? If he can pull off acting like Billy D. Williams, and I feel like I'm watching Billy D. Williams, then he's got my vote. But
They
you
should
know,
have just got old Billy D. Williams.
more like Danny Glover, and I don't feel that Billy D. Williams. I'm gonna hate that movie with a passion.
They should have got old Billy D. Williams to play young Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
I would have been okay with that.
Oh man, that'd be great.
So, Red Dead also released its trailer this week, which is exciting. There's not really a whole lot to talk about on this. I think everybody knew it was coming. I'm actually surprised it's taken them this long to announce.
I still think it's going to be a prequel.
I kind of would have to be because
I read it was gonna be a prequel.
No, they haven't officially announced it, but there's little things I noticed in the trailer. Like you saw a herd of buffalo, and buffalo stopped moving in herds in like the early 1900s. Wasn't the original Red Dead set in like 1911? I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
well,
something
yeah,
like
you
that.
actually go and murder. There's a trophy for
Yeah.
killing all the buffalo. It's just fucking.
But yeah, you see them like running beside the train. So
Yeah, well, it's also at the end of that game, at the end of Red Dead Redemption 1, it is, 1914 at that point? 1916, so it's not the Wild West anymore. That is the whole overreaching arc of that story, was that the Wild West was becoming more civilized, and, trains were moving in, and people were building automobiles, and so this has got to take place before the last one. Otherwise, you'd be playing in the 1920s, which
Well, another thing that I had heard though is that the map actually takes place east of what the original map does.
I heard that too.
So in that sense, it's more of a Great Plains area. So in that sense, it would have to be a prequel.
oh yeah, absolutely, because Western expansion hadn't made it that
Some
far.
town in fucking Ohio all of a sudden, like in 1920, that would just be a gangster game.
Right. Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
excited.
it looked great.
It looks great. Yeah, it looks really good. But we'll see. I was actually, when they announced it, I thought it would be a few months away. I thought Rockstar would be like, "Hey, here's the trailer. By the way, this game comes out in 6 months." And then everybody would just like throw their money at them, which people are still gonna throw their money at them. I saw projections saying that this game's probably already going to sell 15 million copies.
Oh,
which
without
is
a doubt.
fucking crazy. That's a crazy number.
I think it will. It's right up there with the GTA popularity.
I would say people are more hankering for this than they would be for another GTA.
Well, they've also made fans wait years longer for the sequel too.
Oh yeah.
Just people begging for it because everyone loved Red Dead Redemption. I haven't met one person who's never liked that game. It's just one of those games.
Yeah,
I know, Gary probably hates it.
Yeah. I bet you if we pressed him hard enough, Gary'd be like, "I fucking don't like it."
He probably makes fun of John Marston. Yeah,
John Marston,
he's stupid.
his
He's
pants
stupid.
aren't tight enough.
He doesn't vape.
He doesn't. Nobody in that game vapes.
I just had a horrible image of John Marston getting off his horse and lighting up a vape, just fucking going to town. God.
You know who does vape? Jack
Maybe
Marston.
You know, out of nowhere.
John Bon Jovi. And fucking Emilio Estevez is in there somewhere.
I'll make you famous.
Man, you jest, but Young Guns is one of the best westerns ever made.
I will agree with that.
Young
I will-
Guns is fucking awesome. Young Guns 2 is fucking awesome too. Those are great.
I'm not even a Western guy, but I can agree with that. Like, those are good movies.
So,
Yeah, that was one thing about the trailer though. It looked like more like they were also going for a Magnificent Seven kind of feeling.
Do you want to throw in your weekly Tombstone segment, Adam?
I was
Good
about to
segue.
say, I was going to. Fucking.
Who's your Huckleberry this week?
it's got to be Tombstone. Tombstone is still the best Western, but I would put Young Guns up there for sure. Young Guns is really good. That's one of Emilio Estevez's best movies, I think. Just underneath.
Why wasn't there a Young Guns game in the NES era? It would have been awesome. Make it like Sunset Riders. There you go.
Or what was the other one? Gunsmoke? You could have made it like Gunsmoke.
Gun Dot Smoke.
Gun Dot Smoke. Well, I guess Gunsmoke was copyrighted. I guess they couldn't.
Yep, that's totally why they did it.
That's
it's
dumb.
Just real.
Thanks, copyright infringement laws.
You fuckers.
Ruining everything. You're the reason we didn't get fucking Young Guns.
It's secretly Gary back there pulling the strings with them, telling us what the copyrighted things we hate.
Yep. Man, he ruins everything.
Well, you know what he didn't ruin? Hard to Name Podcast, show number 15. Adam,
and 16. 15 and 16. We got two shows.
Well, let's pull the curtain back. We had a show, and we had a glitch, you could say, and the whole show got fucked up, and we had to throw an episode away. I hate to do that, but there was just no getting around this one, guys. But on that one, we had a game of the week, Adam.
We did have a game of the week. So what I want to do here is take a break. So we're going to take a break. You're going to call me back, and we'll get right back into the show. Real fast, Super Off-Road sucks. That was game of the week like 2 weeks ago. So, yay, nay, Super Off-Road sucks. Let's push through this.
I'm gonna interject. I never owned it, but it was a weekend rental for me for about a month when I was a kid.
You suck too.
You know, it was fun for a Saturday night. You know, you could sit down, play with someone else. The perspective's really weird. That overhead perspective of driving trucks, turning on a strange perspective. I never owned it.
It is a better game in the arcade, and it is still not that fun in the arcade.
Oh, it's terrible in the arcade.
I think it's a better experience in the arcade, though, because you're looking at the screen, and you've got all the wheels all around you.
I think it's a more tiring experience because your arms are so tired from that damn wheel.
Man, I got a Wii. I'm in, like, buff shape. I got Wii Fit. I got Wii Sports. I stand up when I play.
Do you even Wii, bro?
Do you even Wii, bro? Nobody Wii's anymore.
Yeah, I think Super Off-Road is pretty much hit or miss. If you're into the top-down perspective racers, then this is right up your alley. Probably the game you would think of for the most part when you think of that genre. I do like this game a lot.
I wish we would have played Super Hang-On instead.
Yeah, I wish we would have got that request way more. Also,
I'm pretty sure you're the one that picked Super Off-Road.
No, I thought someone picked it for us.
No, you picked it. This was your pick.
God, this is so far back now.
Yep. It was not Zardion, though. So
2 weeks ago. So please excuse his memory loss.
I had a serotonin relapse.
So that was Off-Road. We did have a request though for another game called Super Bomberman 2 for the SNES.
Yep.
And we did play that. I played that.
It was Bomberman.
It was Bomberman.
It was 16-bit Bomberman.
How did they get away with like renumbering those games? I don't know.
There were so many.
Yeah.
Did you ever play the NES version? See, that was the one where, like, when I got your text earlier, you were like, "Be prepared for Super Bomberman 2," and it was like, I do remember that. The one that I remember a little bit more is the NES version.
Yeah.
That did not have the Super Nintendo version at all.
I never had a Super.
The NES version is completely weird because it's like there's this intro movie and like Bomberman's standing outside of a bank, and this guy runs out of the bank and like leaves a bag of money, and then this cop car drives by and Bomberman just disappears. Next thing you know, you're in jail.
Yeah, there's an actual like story behind it. Like you're breaking out of jail as Bomberman. That was my favorite Bomberman game, the second one for NES. I spent a lot of time with the first one. I never owned one on the SNES, but I have gone back and played them, and they're good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them at all. It's just they keep remaking the same fucking game at this point, you know.
Bomberman for me has always been a multiplayer game. Like, I don't know. I played my 30 minutes in single player and was like, what the fuck? This game sucks in single player. This game is so much better if you have a couple people over.
Oh yeah, because when you're trying to screw each other over by planting bombs next to each other,
yep,
that's when the real shit happens. You're actually trying to kill each other then. But yeah, the single player storyline, I just, the NES one especially, like, what a weird freaking storyline that one had.
Well, shout out to Hudson Saw for the Bomberman series. I think the only bad Bomberman game I played was the horrible remake Zero, like a couple years ago. It was terrible. It's like more modernized graphic. It was like Bomberman with a 90s attitude on steroids. It was awful. It looked nothing like Bomberman. It was just shitty gameplay, but yeah. Thank you. I think it was Mary Hatcher again, Adam, with the request. If we're wrong, sorry, but thank you for your request. Yeah, I don't know what's on next for the agenda as far as game of the week.
And we're back. We had to cut out a really lewd joke from Tannen about ISIS, and we apologize for that last Bomberman segment. So, little fancy editing there, and we cut that right out.
Yeah, you know, well, that's what the NES one was. It predicted that ISIS was gonna blow up a bank.
Now we gotta edit it all again.
Bomberman got arrested.
So, one thing we did record it on the last podcast that didn't get out was the Outlast 2 demo. We played it. We talked about it. Tannen, have you played the Outlast 2 demo?
I didn't, but I definitely played the first Outlast. And I enjoyed that game. Not as much as I did when I played it on PC, though. I played it on PS4 when I finally owned it. But I gotta say, Outlast on PC, to me, was much better.
That game was it started out really strong and lost all of its steam about a quarter of the way in. And by the end of the game, I was so fucking sick of playing that game.
Well, because all you're doing is sneaking around. There's a couple parts where you're like, where the hell am I supposed to go?
The story just goes completely off the rails. They should have just left it a grounded, you're in this insane asylum, grounded story. And instead they're like, fucking ghosts and psychics. Spoilers. But if you haven't played Outlast yet and you're listening to this podcast, fuck you.
I mean, is that the new game of the week? We're just going to go ahead and just max them Outlast?
One
of the things about that, though, like, one of the scenes is and it's towards the beginning of the game. I mean, you've only been playing it for about 20 minutes, and the next thing you know, you're locked in the complete dark, and there's just this guy chasing you.
Yeah.
And I think you're trying to start a generator, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a couple years since I played it.
That's a little bit further in, but yeah.
But, A, it was such a pain in the ass part. But B, I mean, I don't know, I got caught by that guy so many damn times that it stopped being scary. But when it first starts, it was one of those first, to me, point of view scares that, later on, Alien Isolation tried to pull off and shit like that. But, that part actually freaked me out the first time that I played through it, with headphones on at that, too, because, you could hear him tapping behind you, and you're just like, oh my god, what the hell am I? It's like instant panic. And then after about, the fifth time of getting caught savagely beaten by the guy.
Once he kicked my ass 4 times in a row, kind of lost the novelty of it. No, that game, it's... I don't know. It was a disappointment. It certainly was no PT, and I feel like that is the standard. That should be the standard by which all scary media is made. Everybody should go play PT and then realize, hey, this is what disturbing and scary. This is how it should be.
Well, even the early Silent Hill games too. You could still say.
Fuck those games.
What?
Fuck Silent Hill.
How can you say that?
Man, it was real fun. Let me run around with a stick and not do anything. just
Wow.
every road is a dead end, and I got to backtrack all over the place.
Was the first game that actually scared me. I played Resident Evil 2 years before that, and bought Silent Hill the second day it came out in 1999. Like, I had saved up my money for it because that was back when PlayStation would send you those demo discs, and the trailer was on there. I was so blown away by the trailer. Like, I was like, this game looks scary. Resident Evil never scared me. Not
All right,
once.
well, you know what? Now that it's come up organically, I'm switching the top 3 because I can. Let's do, because that's the direction we're moving into anyways. Let's do top 3 scary games.
Yes.
That's what Travis has been itching.
I much rather wanted
for.
to do
He
that.
really wanted to do it. It seems like that's what we're going to talk about anyways, so let's do it. Tannen, the way you probably
God damn, you streamlined a show much this week, Adam? Shit.
Oh, man, I'm telling, dude,
You're fired up. You're ready to go.
You think I'm streamlining, but I'm telling you, this is gonna end up being an hour and a half plus.
I'm just fucking.
Like, we have got to fucking.
You're just on the juice this week. You're like training hard.
No, it's because I actually
Because you
wrote
missed
notes.
me in the show so much. Just admit it.
I've got notes this week.
You're fucking professional. I'm caught off guard.
I'm on point. Though.
You reached out to a guest and you had a format in the same week. I don't even know what to say.
I was like, man, we got to come back.
Who
We
are
got to come
you?
back strong. We can't have any of these lackadaisical episodes.
God damn, you're raising the bar high for me next week, man. I've got to do something big.
Yeah, you better, because next week I'm gonna be sick for 2 weeks. So suck it. No. Okay. But no. Let's do it. Let's do top 3 scary games. That's what we're talking about. It came up organically. I'm not
Sounds good.
force feeding people to talk about scary games. So.
I think everybody always wants to talk about their favorite scary games. Let's be honest.
And it is our spooktacular episode,
Ugh.
like Count Chocula. So, Tannen, the way that we do this is it goes 3 and then 2 and then 1 and everybody takes a turn. So. What is your number 3 scariest game of all time?
Number 3, Fatal Frame. Actually, I'm going to say Fatal Frame 1 and 2. I'm going to lump the first 2 together. The third one was...
I don't know if we can accept that. Do we accept that? The lumping?
Let's accept the lumping. And
I think with Fatal Frame you can accept it, honestly.
Okay, you get a pass.
First 2. Because that third one was nothing like the first 2. That game was a game that I did not play it alone. Karen got really into that game with me. So I had somebody with me the whole time, and I still went to sleep feeling freaked out. And Grant, like, the theme is, you're this cute Japanese girl, and especially the second one, cute Japanese twins and little skirts. Oh my God. Like, how scary can that be? They took that and made it scary. That just, still blows my mind that, oh, yep, I'm this just little Japanese girl, and oh my God, I'm scared as shit, because nothing is scarier than ancient Japanese ghosts sometimes. In that game, you would just be walking, and all of a sudden, you'd have this shadowy figure coming after you, and then you would have to zoom into your point of view. It was one of the first ones, too. You would actually have to go into the point of view of the character to literally capture the ghost before it killed you. And it would be sometimes this long drawn out process. Even if the ghosts were slowly coming at you, you would just be sitting there just praying that you had the powerful enough film to be able to capture the ghost so it wouldn't kill you. And with that one, that really is what kind of drove me with it. The setting was really and both of them were really scary. You had this kind of older, almost ancient, Japanese villages that were, in my opinion, scarier than what even Silent Hill or of course Resident Evil were, because those were more modern towns in a modern setting, where you had this very paranormal, ancient and just epitome of evil, constantly coming after you.
Yeah. I think a big reason what makes Fatal Frame so psychologically scary and shit is it's so different gameplay wise, and I think when a game does that, it definitely contributes to it being more scary.
Yeah, and just the lighting and the setting itself is just, like, let's face it, whenever you get down to really ancient shit, the idea of ancient ghosts being damn near deities, and they are downright just terrifying. I don't know. In my opinion, that's it's pretty damn scary. So that's why Fatal Frame 1 and 2, you're my number 3.
Well, it's a good pick. I liked it. Adam, you want to go next, or?
Yeah, I'll take my number 3 is Dead Space, the first Dead Space.
That was going to be my number 1, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It is. There's a lot of things that were scary about that game. A lot of that game reminded me of a movie called Event Horizon, which was a super awesome, scary movie with that just constantly kept getting ramped up to be more and more disturbing and scary. But the sense of isolation and entrapment, because you're in space on this abandoned spacecraft with not a lot of places to go, and there was no one there to really help you per se. So the sense that you were always by yourself and you were always surrounded by things, and you were completely cut off from the real world, it definitely was alarming. They had some really interesting enemy types, and they had really interesting gameplay mechanics where instead of shooting things in the head, you had to actually dismember them. I thought that was a nice touch as well. But a very good game, nice twist ending. And the other 2 games in the series I never played, so I heard they're not as good as the first one. But
I'm actually relieved you said that, because I am there with you. I've only played the first one.
Yeah, apparently the second one and then the third one was ultimately super disappointing. But I thought the writing was on point, and there was a nice mixture of just real suspense mixed with jump scares, mixed with the legitimate creepiness. So that's why it's my number 3. I got 2 games that are scarier than that, so sorry I took your number 1, Tan.
No, it's okay. That game definitely, the claustrophobia was definitely a big one. Another thing, though, the theme is, you're Isaac, and you're a fucking maintenance man. And they're just like, Isaac, go fix this. Isaac, go do that. And Isaac never speaks in the first one. So you are Isaac. So, you can really just be like, oh, God damn it, are you serious? My job, and I gotta find my girlfriend, and this sucks.
And I think that's what a lot of people's complaints were with the sequels, is that he had a voice, and that took that away, that aspect, and that pissed people off.
They did the same thing with Jack. Jack in the first game was...
That was an okay one, and there were some twists and turns to it. The third one, I was really just... If they make a fourth one, they gotta branch away from Isaac, and they gotta come up with something that kind of goes back to its roots. The third one, you had this co-op. There were areas in the game, if you guys ever play it, you can't go into as a single player. You have to go in as co-op. So it means also if they ever shut down those servers, you can't play.
I think they already did. I don't think those servers... EA shuts down their servers a lot sooner than anybody else does.
What a bunch of dicks.
I could be completely wrong, but I'm fairly certain that game is...
The co-op modes. When I did, I was always put with some random asshole who could not communicate with me and just, was a total ass munch about playing the game. And it was that was a huge disappointment too. Never had a real friend to play it with, and tried playing it with a random person, and they either didn't want to play Dead Space or this, it was like playing GTA 5 with a random person.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. And, but even more so because this is survival horror, it was like playing Resident Evil 5 with a random person. That doesn't work.
You know how to dupe eggs, bro? You got any rotten eggs, bro? I just replayed Resident Evil 5 the other day, 2 months ago, and I have 5 unread messages from completely random people that were like, yo, you got any eggs? You know how to dupe eggs? Fucking, I'm not duping eggs with you, buddy. So, Travis, what's your number 3?
My number 3, scary in the regards for me at the time that, just gave me a heart attack. Not in the sense you would think, because I thought I lost my whole fucking save file, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Eternal Darkness,
I knew it
Sanity's
was going to be
Requiem.
on your list somewhere.
Man, let's get one thing out of the way. It is a scary game, but the fact that it does these, what were the exact term? The status, like something where it's like, it fucks with you, really bad.
Like Metal Gear did.
Yeah.
It took, it did what Metal Gear did, but it did it to like the extreme. I like the fly that kept landing on your screen.
The sanity effects, that's what I was searching for, yeah. But you play through a couple stories, a couple characters in the game and their story, but it's just greatly written. Learned a lot about the game when our friend Kelly was on the show, Adam, with pedophilia and the developers and shit like that. But it was a great game. I'd love to see it come back, but it doesn't look like it. It's a good game.
Good choice. That's a good choice. I didn't think that game was particularly scary in the traditional sense, but it was definitely, I really enjoyed the gimmicks to that game.
What do you mean, is that it? Or what else do you want me to say about it?
I didn't say, is that it?
I was kind of like what Adam just said, actually. I was trying to drive out of you. So he just kind of took the words out of your mouth.
Awesome.
So I just want to be like, well, what made it so scary, Travis? And that was about it.
All right, Tannen, what you got for number 2?
Oh, my number 2?
Yep.
Oh, shit. No, I actually had it lined up.
Wow, you fucked this whole thing up.
Huh?
You fucked the whole thing up. You just derailed the whole top 3.
Actually, I'm actually going to go with a game. Listen. And you guys are both going to say what, and it's not a console game. This is probably off the tradition of the Hard to Name podcast. I'm going to go with a game called Phantasmagoria.
I thought you were going to say Five Nights at Freddy's. Thank you for not saying that.
I thought you were going to say...
No. Actually, I kind of hated that game. No, Phantasmagoria, and if you don't know anything about it, go ahead and Google it. It was
Tell me how to live my life. Fucking, I'm a grown-ass man. Don't you ever tell me how to live my life.
Listen, this game came out when I was about 10 years old, and it was one of the first games to actually ever use real people as the players. It was a PC game, and they were on these pre-rendered sets. And my sister had gotten it for Christmas, and I wasn't supposed to play it, but I totally played it. There's like sex scenes in it and shit like that, and really, really gory deaths in this game. It was made from the creators of King's Quest. And so it was one of those click-around adventures. You use your mouse, you clicked around. But at the end of the game, you better freaking hope that you collected enough items and stuff to survive the ending. Basically, you're this woman, you move into this giant mansion with your husband, and at day 2, if you ever get a chance, YouTube this shit, because the whole acting is terrible. But, like, by day 2, your husband is already acting like a complete asshole. And the woman is, like, going around town. I don't know. She shows up at the real estate agent's office. He's, like, smoking a cigar, talking to some whore. And you got to get him to give you the key to the rest of the house. But then as the 8 chapters go on, you basically unlock these mysteries behind this huge mansion that you live in, and you find out that the magician who formerly owned it actually summoned this demon that has possessed your husband. And there's different things that can kind of that lead you to this kind of fear. Like there's a room you can go into. Each room is dedicated to this former owner's wives, and one of the wives was an artist. And every day you go into it, there's this painting, and the further you get in the game, the more clear the painting is. And by the end, it's this huge demon monster thing. So at the end of the game, though, you're being chased around by your crazed husband. He's really acting like a blackout drunk guy, and if you don't succeed shit right, he actually chains you to a chair and like summons this pendulum to come down and cut your head in half. Now bear in mind, this is actually real actors, so and they were really going for the gore aspect of it, and it's one of the most awesome special effects I've ever seen of somebody's head getting split open. And later on, you can actually go back and try to kill your character in as many ways as possible, just to see how awesome it is. But at the time, as a kid, me playing this, I was 10, bear in mind, which is really really messed up age to be playing this game. It really did scare the crap out of me. Especially because it was using real people, even though they were terrible actors. But I went back and actually downloaded the game not that long ago to replay it, and realized that that would be my number 2, just in a full aspect of looking back on scariest games. And it's a survival horror, because if you don't have the tools to beat the game at the end, to make the right choices, your character is just going to inevitably die.
Very good. Gravy.
I want to make an honorable shout out to Goosebumps on the PC, which was a point-and-click adventure mixed with live actors, but that game had Jeff Goldblum. Did your game have Jeff Goldblum? No, it didn't.
That game, not mine, but yours did have Jeff Goldblum.
I know. That game was fucking awesome. That game was it was not particularly scary, though. But Escape from Horrorland, Goosebumps Escape from Horrorland on the PC, go play it. That game is cool. So, my number 2 is BioShock. And I don't need to talk about this a lot, because pretty sure we're going to talk about this next week. But
you took my number 2 anyway, so.
But BioShock is great. It's a great game.
Let's join forces real quick, and I'll just segue. You have more to say about it. I'll say 2 words.
Let's do it.
One of the biggest jump scares I ever got in my life. Fucking dentist.
Yeah. I think the entire Sander Cohen level is super duper creepy. The fact that everybody's like molded in clay, and some of them are still alive, and other ones are obviously dead because their necks are bleeding and they're still sculpted.
When I turned around, I was not prepared for that fucking dentist on the first playthrough, and I just lit him up with my machine gun, and I just went apeshit on him.
There is one part early on in that first level at the medical pavilion where you go into an office, you unlock a safe, and you turn around, and there's a splicer right there, just standing. He's not trying to attack you; he's just standing there, and that's pretty creepy. But it throws back to the same reasons I think Dead Space is a great scary game. Is you are alone and you're in a confined space, and the entire city has just gone to hell, and everybody is crazy down there. So, and the people that aren't crazy want you dead also. So, it's a very atmospheric game. But I have a lot to say about BioShock, so we'll get into more of that next week. But I do think
for a game that was never marketed, at least in the beginning of the franchise, as a survival horror game, it was one of the scariest games ever made.
Yeah, I think the original trailer for that game was fantastic. I think the first time I saw a trailer for that was 2005, maybe 2006, and with the Big Daddy coming in drilling through the guy's hand. That was.
Wasn't Somewhere Beyond the Sea played in the background? That really slow, drawn out version of it.
Yep.
It's like slowly being strummed on guitar. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was a great commercial. It will go down and over time as just classic.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best game announcing trailers I think that there's ever been, because that got me pumped for that game. Like it hit every mark that a trailer is supposed to do. So that's my number 2, and Travis's number 2. So now we're back to Tannen at his number 1, which I stole.
We're doing number 1s now.
Yeah.
Well, we brought it up earlier, and again, like it's called, like, I don't know if you can do a lumping, but whatever, because I'm just going to name an entire franchise actually as the scariest game that I ever played, but especially beginning with the first one.
Adam, are we allowing this?
Nope.
Well, then fine. The original Silent Hill. I can still play that game to this day.
I'm surprised you didn't say Silent Hill 2, because that is the more renowned game.
Fuck being renowned, man. Dude.
The first one was way better.
The first one, okay, like, I mean, they did do little, like, do you remember one of the first jump scares I've ever experienced? It's funny, in Resident Evil, a lot of people talk about the jump scare when you're walking down the hallway, and the dog jumps through the damn window.
That is my first, I'll say it on record.
And then, then you got down to, what was it, Homecoming, which I played. That one had some interesting parts, like choosing which parent had to die and shit like that.
But the first is where it's at, really. They got it the best.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry to babble, but the first is my number one. that game is my number one horror game ever. Of course, like, we could talk about some ties here, but go on, boys, go on.
Well, I'm also proud of myself because I predicted on the inside that would be your number one, so go me.
Good job.
Always feel the need to pat myself on the back. Adam, the scariest game of all time.
The scariest game of all time is not really up for... It's fact. PT is the scariest game of all time. It's not even a full game.
Oh, I wouldn't count that, though.
How would you not count that? That's the game that...
It never saw the light of day?
It did. It did. It never saw the light of day for you because it's already been taken off the store by the time you got your PS4, but...
Exactly.
For everybody else that was able to download that set the bar for what a scary game could and should be.
But not everybody got to experience it.
Well,
it's not fair, goddammit.
No, but no, that's not why. That's not what the argument is here. And Adam can choose whatever his scariest game is. And I see Adam's point. That game did scare the shit out of me.
That game is still... I can't beat that game by myself.
For the Silent Hill universe. And second of all... you are totally right about that, but I wouldn't consider that a full game. I consider that a demo.
It's an experience, and I feel like that's really, at the end of the day, it's an experience.
And which by I meant never saw the light of day because the full experience never came to pass.
Yeah,
it was never,
that's true.
However,
though, it is it's a half an hour, it's an hour long, depending on if you know what you're doing. Like, you could probably crush through it, but it did things that with the radio constantly playing and then not playing, so it's playing this super disturbing story the entire time you're walking through, trying to figure out what's going on, and the goddamn radio is on a loop, and the hallway is on a loop, and every time all you want to do is just figure out what you're going to do and how you can get through it, and as soon as you figure something out, you're rewarded with something awful every time.
Radio story though, where he's just like, my dad.
Oh, there's that one, and then there's the
exacting part that you would play.
Well, there's the part where the radio story where about the man who shot his wife, and then his daughter came and knocked on the door, and he shot her too, and he lured out the children, and that just grates on you. And then like the baby that won't stop crying is also. It's like all these things that are meant to put you on edge, and they all put you on edge, whether you're playing the game or not playing the game. But if you listen to a baby crying for 10 minutes without being able to make it stop, it wears on human psyche. It's just that's what a baby's cry is supposed to do.
Same thing with like an animal whining.
Yeah, so the fact that it's in there, it was all put in very cleverly.
Honorable mention, Max Payne.
The dark wire, maze that you're walking on, the baby's just screaming the whole time.
But no, I could definitely see that as a good pick, Adam.
Yeah, that's definitely the scariest thing. I've played a lot. There's a lot of games since PT that have tried to do that, like first-person horror, jump scares, atmospheric setting, and I don't think anybody's really done it properly. Just because PT fired on every single cylinder. So.
Right.
But that's a good bring up though. Like, what about the new Resident Evil? I really feel like they took from that.
Oh, absolutely. It has potential too to be scary. So, but that game, PT, whether you want to call it a game or not, has already been incredibly influential on reviving the survival horror genre.
And it's like you and I have said on the show in the past, it kind of feels like the new Resident Evil is trying to pull in as many horror tropes as they can.
Yeah, and that could be, like, that's the problem that Outlast had. And that could be a problem for Resident Evil. So it all depends on how well they do it.
Very true. Very true.
But look back to, like, compare the two back when they were out. Like, Resident Evil was nowhere near psychologically as terrifying.
No. And that's, I think, one of the most alarming thing is there's no weapons in PT. There's no items, there's no health bar, There's no indication that you can click on anything. There's move forward. Everybody can move forward. That game is accessible to everyone, and everyone can equally be... Like, you can't hand Dead Space over to somebody that doesn't play games and say, hey, here's a 12-hour experience, enjoy it and be scared and let me know what you think. Whereas PT, you can hand that to literally anybody and say, here you go, play this game for 5 minutes, and everybody's going to be creeped out within that 5 minutes. Everybody's going to be disturbed. Everybody's going to be put off the guard. And in that sense alone, I feel like that shines brighter than any other kind of horror game that you could come up with. Just the fact that it's accessible to everyone, and it is not a full game where you don't have to sit down for 8 hours to get that experience. You're already experiencing it within the first few minutes.
Right. It's an interesting way to look at it.
So, suck it. My top 3 is better than your top 3.
Yeah, no, your top 3 is way better. Wow. That's awesome. Travis, your turn.
Probably the worst top 3. Honorable mention real quick on my behalf. What makes a game scary, like you said, atmosphere. And I think a game that gets overlooked is the original Metroid. If you play that shit alone in the dark for a while, that fucking soundtrack and everything, that claustrophobic feeling of being trapped in a maze, it's a little
what
creepy.
What in the fuck are you talking about? Metroid?
Wow. So is Metroid your number 1?
No, I said honorable mention. Honorable mention. Let's not get carried away with ourselves here.
I think Metroid, not so much for any of the reasons that you said, but I think its soundtrack is very eerie. I will give those points to Metroid. Metroid has a very atmospheric soundtrack.
Really, I
It's
think
incredible.
That's what makes that game. If you play that game on mute, alone in the dark, though, I don't think you're going to get creeped out.
No, you're not. You need that soundtrack, definitely, to experience it. My number 1, I'm going for nostalgia. For literally the first game, I scared the shit out of me. I played this game so much in the dark, and you wouldn't really think it would be. And this game was a lot bigger. You thought it would just be a port of the original, essentially. Doom 64 was fucking amazing.
Nice. I was actually, when this is all done, I didn't want to take anybody else's guesses away, but yeah, Doom 64 would have been an honorable mention for me. If you sit in the dark, play it with headphones on.
Yes.
Holy shit.
You talk about scary, creepy soundtracks. That is some of the best music for a horror game ever put to paper. Anything, anywhere. It just, man, that game was huge. It was so much more than just a port of Doom for anyone that's played it through. Just a great experience.
Oh no, I don't think it. I never ever looked at that.
Well,
as being a port.
I think that's what a lot of people took going in. Oh, this is just going to be a port because it's Doom 64, but it's so much more is what I'm saying.
It really was on a much different level than Doom 1 or 2.
The best Doom, in my opinion, is Doom 64.
It was a good game. I remember just like walking into every single wall, trying to like open up a secret door.
Yeah.
Like I played the shit out of that game, but no, very atmospheric, very very atmospheric. Much better pick than Metroid 1.
And of course, the difficulties right there with Doom games. It gets brutal as hell, but man, if you can trudge through, it's definitely worth it. So check it out if you've never played it.
Yeah, that game's fun. Yeah, shout out to Hexen also. Hexen,
Ooh,
if you
I
like
didn't
Doom, Hexen would be right up your alley.
What was that game D? That was a scary ass game. I remember also.
I've never played that one.
Shit. It's called D.
All right,
on
well,
Saturn.
and with that concludes tonight's episode.
Maybe I'll review that game someday. Yeah, that was our episode. Thought it went pretty well with Tannen.
It did go pretty well with Tannen.
I definitely enjoyed this one. I'm sorry if I got carried away about Silent Hill, but I definitely hold that game close to my heart. I'm gonna rant about that game if you bring it up around me.
It's all good.
Never ever bring up Silent Hill on the show ever again.
Another honorable mention, real quick: the original Maniac Mansion. That game gave me panic attacks as a kid. I don't know if you ever played it.
I did it when I was a kid. I played it in like my later days. A game that scared me on the NES as a kid was Monster Party. That game scared the shit out of me, and I don't know why. Looking back, I don't know if you guys ever played that one.
No, I can't think of any games that really.
I'm confusing that with Monster in My Pocket.
Yeah, that was a game I rented a lot, actually, Monster in My Pocket. It was so easy, even as a kid, though.
I think the first game that actually scared me was Doom 64. That was the first one that I played. That I was like, this is a little unsettling. Like this.
Yeah, that was a really good game. Travis, I got to admit, that was a really good pick there.
All right. Well, fun fact: next week's game of the week. Typically, we would let Tannen pick, but we're not going to do that. We'll let Tannen pick next time. But the game of the week next week is going to be for Travis, Castlevania Circle of the Moon, and for me is going to be Castlevania Bloodlines. So we will discuss that on the next episode. Tannen, since you're coming on the next episode, feel free to play Castlevania Circle of the Moon or Castlevania Bloodlines, either one.
And a little... Go ahead.
Play around with both. I might just play around with both just to do it. Which ones are those?
One of them is the first one. Was Circle of the Moon the first one or the second one for the GBA?
The first one on the GBA.
First one on the GBA, and Castlevania Bloodlines is the Sega Genesis Castlevania.
And a little spoiler alert for guys checking out the channel. I just uploaded part 1 of my Circle of the Moon Let's Play, so check that out if you get a chance.
And
it's actually, I'm a little preview of what I'm going to say about it. It's not as bad as I remember, so there you have it.
Shocker. Plot.
And you like
twist.
Spears in your Castlevania.
I do like Spears in my Castlevania. Don't tell everybody yet.
The last new Castlevania that I played was one of the ones on the Game Boy Advance.
They're all good. All the Game Boy Advance ones are good. Those
Do
are
I?
good games. I love all those games.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, Game Boy DS. Sorry. Got my phone.
I only played the one of them on the DS, but I'm assuming that those are all good games as well.
It was pretty good. It held my attention, but I can't remember what the specific title was. I have it somewhere in a box.
You guys ever played the Judgment game? I've
Nope.
never played that one.
The fighting game?
Yeah. Judgment.
No, I didn't. All right. Well,
Hey, Tannen,
that's-
before we sign off, Tannen, real quick, does Castlevania 64 suck, or is it good?
Oh my God! Don't start this again.
I remember when I first played it, I was like, wow, this is so much fun, you know, like giant skull guys chasing me, oh boy. Yeah, you know, when it came out, I loved it.
See, and then he started hanging out with Gary, and he hated everything.
No, just listen. Now I'd probably play it and not like it so much, but for its time, it's not a game that I ever went back and played again. I'll put it that way. You know,
And-
like fun. But you know, you start up the game. There's a guy playing violin, and you're like, holy shit, what am I getting myself into?
Well, it was a good intro. I'll give it that. Adam, I had to ruin the show by bringing up Castlevania 64.
Well, I was just getting ready to say, don't bring it up because at some point we got to edit in that top 3 skeletons.
Oh, yeah. I'm on board.
So,
Okay, yeah, no, that was a good skill.
and we talk about Castlevania 4 or Castlevania 64, especially in that. So, with that, at some point that'll get edited into the show. My name's Travis. I'm the host. It's been a lot of fun.
No,
And
it's not.
the
You're a
show-
dirty liar.
The show is over. Right. My name's Tannen, and I like to party.
I'm the sidekick.
And I'm your Huckleberry. And this is the Hard to Name podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD. Check us out on Facebook group for everything Hard to Name podcast, Slam Pigs podcast, everything Hibiki TMD. For Tannen, Adam, myself, we'll catch you here next week. I fucked up, and Gary still sucks.
Gary sucks.